A very warm welcome to you. You're watching Beyond the Screen. And of course, it's me, your host, Redempta Oburu. And today I'm delighted to be joined by someone who's going to introduce himself. I think that would be better. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Is now's when I introduce myself?
Yeah.
All right, my name is Wahiga Mwaura. I am a sports journalist, sports anchor. I am a Christian. I'm a student, and I am an optimist.
You're an optimist.
Yes.
What are you optimistic about?
I'm optimistic that everything's going to be okay because, and I'm not going to preach, but because I believe in a good God who allows his people to go through hard times, but ultimately takes care of them. So that makes me an optimist. So thus, overall, I'm an optimist.
Wow.
Of that. Yeah.
So, Mr. Mwaura, before you got to become a sports journalist, I'm sure there are many things that you did in your life. So I'd like to start with your childhood so that you can explain to me a few things about yourself.
All right, if you have the time, I began as, I grew up in a relatively loving family, very grateful for my parents. The firstborn, got a brother and a sister. Growing up was, the usual things, fighting in the estate, riding bikes, when you had a bike, going to school. What else can I remember about my childhood? Trips as a family, we would travel to Shags. Every so often, they travel to other parts of the country. Being forced to go to church. What else? Being sent to the shops to buy stuff. Yeah, those are some of the memories of my childhood. Being forced to eat food in school that you didn't like.
That you didn't like?
Yeah.
And tell me about your educational background.
My educational background, I started at a kindergarten. I started very uptown. Waihiga kindergarten. Nilianza Waihiga nikiwa mtoi. And then I don't know what possessed my parents to transfer me to St. Nicholas.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yani saa tuka drop. But I had the privilege of, I thank God that I was able to study in good schools. I was in St. Mary's. If you don't know where St. Mary's is, just ask our president, Uhuru Kenyatta, ask Jeff Koinange. And then later on I transferred to do, some of my uncles convinced my parents to take me to do GCE. So I went to Rusinga School.
Wow.
And then after that, studied at African Nazarene University. Did my undergrad in computer science. I keep going, and then during my internship, in third year or fourth year, I did an internship, and I realized that I did not like computer science because it was 3 months. It was a very good job. First things first, I was actually earning $200 a month.
Wow.
I'm an intern earning $16K, and that was in 2006. That was a lot of money. I even bought Kengen shares. For those who remember the Kengen IPO. But I did not like the job because I'd wear a suit every day and I'd go to the office and I'd be under the table, connecting printers, connecting laptops, fixing power cables. And I was like, I don't know that it's a pride part of me that was like, this is not my job. Kuinua machines and things like that. So when I went back for my last year, I went back knowing that I was not going to do this course. But I also knew that I need to finish and get a degree because the degree is the pride of the family.
Exactly.
So when I was done, I intentionally avoided IT jobs. I'd get emails from people, I'd see adverts in the paper, but I didn't want. I wanted to try something else. Wow. And so I began what many people call a journey of discovery after university.
Discovering yourself.
When you live abroad, because the economy is better, young people take a year off after university or before university. Because they have money, they travel around the world. By the time they come back, they know what they want to do. We don't have that privilege.
Because you're chased from the house.
Yes. I'm grateful for my parents because they bore with me through that period of discovery. So my first job, I worked in a call center. It was called Ken Call. It was on Mombasa Road. I would pick calls. Now what happens with call centers, work from overseas is outsourced to them. So Americans call that number thinking they are speaking to an American about their internet. What they don't know is that they're actually speaking to a Kenyan. So the calls would come through to us. So maybe that's where I began to hone my media skills because I'd talk for long hours on the phone with Americans, so your accent would change as you try and convince them why they should buy this internet package or that sort of thing. So I did that for about 9 months. And then after that, your parents always help you hustle like a job somewhere.
Yeah,
so there's a job my parents had asked me to apply for many months ago. So they called me. It was at a bank. So anyway, I go and work in a bank. Of course, a more streamlined environment.
Yeah.
But after a few months of working there, I also knew this is not.
You were working as a what?
I'm supposed to be everything. KYM. I was a customer service. I was a cashier. I was a salesman for opening accounts. Okay, they call, and I won't even say the name of the bank so that they don't sue me. They call it a very dignified what is it called? Management trainee. And that's a high-level job.
Management trainee.
But
yeah,
what I was doing was KYM.
Kazi ya mkono, eh?
Yes, kazi ya mkono. So I remember artists like Kolo, Kleptomaniacs, some supermodels, Miss Kenya. They would come to the branch, and I would see the kind of checks they are withdrawing.
And even you are thinking you're going to 30-30.
And we'd even do some transaction for some media houses, and I'd see these guys coming in looking all flamboyant, and I would tell myself, what does it take to be on that other side? Yeah. These people look like they have time on their hands. They look like they're actively pursuing their passion. And I felt like I'm a robot.
Yeah,
I'm stuck. I'm like restrained. And I'll never forget one day, it was the end of our working day. It was a Friday. It was like 7 o'clock. Friday, the bank gets full. So we end up transacting till 5:36. And if you and then you have to check your cash to make sure your cash counts right.
Yeah.
And for me, there were times when it wasn't making sense. So you'd stay even longer trying to find out, did I overpay someone? Did I underpay someone? So by the time we were done, the news was on at 7. So we ended up watching the news kidogo in the office as we were winding up. And I remember telling my supervisor, one day I'm going to work over there. I don't remember what channel it was. I just told him one day I'm going to work over there. And he laughed at me and said, wewe,
Kai.
kutoka hapa mpaka huko, impossible. So after about a year of learning a lot about the banking sector, I have a lot of respect for cashiers, for people who do customer service. In fact, when I go to a bank, I'm patient.
Yeah.
See, I don't harakisha them.
Yeah,
and then also the dangers of fraud as well. So after all, I was like, this industry is not for me.
Yeah.
I went to try and start a business.
Business after that.
Yes, with my brother. We were trying to do an internet business. And so we did that for like 6 months. Made losses, serious losses, and so after that, I knew I'm not supposed to be here. And that's when I started feeling drawn to media. I would MC in church, and people would tell me, we think you have the talent to be in the media. I remember one pastor kept bothering me, like, "Hii talent yako, isiishe tu hapa. You need to take it somewhere." And so I'll never forget, one day I was in Matatu, headed, I can't remember where I was headed, and I had an advert on radio for an audition for a TV show, a TV acting show, a drama. And so it sounded interesting. So I said, hey, let me go. And I thought to myself, since they have taken time to even put the advert on a big radio station, it must be something serious. So the audition was at the Nyayo Stadium. It was for a TV football show. It's funny how I always ended up in sports. And so I made my way there. We were 2,000 of us. It was crazy. We did the audition. And for me, it was interesting because, remember, I've come there with I have a degree background. Yeah. I've quit a job. So I remember sharing with some people, we discussed, umetoka wapi. And I told them my story. They said, anyway, ni mjinga. Umeacha job, ukampo hustle. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. To them, they wanted that job in the bank because they can pay their rent and that sort of thing. Yeah. Acting is seasonal, as I'm sure you know. So those are some of the challenges. Anyway, 2 months later, they call me back. I come and do the second audition. In fact, in a place...
So you passed the first audition?
So I passed the first one.
Wow. And what was it about?
Basically, I looked for the part of a good guy. I didn't want to play the part of a crook because I know I don't have crook-like tendencies. Yeah. So I would not have been able to do it convincingly. I want to be, real about what I do. So there was a character of a guy called Ben. And Ben was supposed to be a good guy, the voice of reason, so I auditioned for that role. And I read the script and I saw Ben si mukora, si mtu wa pombe, na kitu kama hizo. Unajua nataki mama akiwa home anawachisha alafu. Is that my son? So they called me back for the second audition. We went there. I think we were now maybe 100 or 50. We were much fewer.
From 2000.
From 2000.
Yeah, no wengine alishinda kuact Ben.
Acting icon. I don't even know how they made that short list. So I did the second audition. And then I think I did the second audition in November. So November passed, December, January. So me, after 3 months, in my head, I knew imeisha. And then in Feb, and I'll never forget, it was like a few days before Valentine's, I get a call. And they tell me, hi, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, hey, do you remember coming for an audition sometime last year? And I'm like, yes. And I said, in fact, in my head, I knew you guys had already started filming and had even finished. Because it was 3 months since we last spoke.
3 months, yeah.
They said, no, we actually haven't, but now we are ready to shoot. Unfortunately, there's a part that we don't have someone for, and we thought you would be best at it. So I'm like, what part? Then they say, part of this other guy. Now, this other guy, the crook, the mukora. So in my head, I'm like, but me, I auditioned for this other part. They said, no, that one you've already given to someone else.
So we kuja work kama
No,
mukora.
in fact, where haukuwa unafaa kuwa na sisi.
Okay.
The part of the part that we want you to do was supposed to be done by a 0.5. A 0.5 is someone half Kenyan,
Yeah,
or half America. 0.5 si ati half Meru, half Luya. No. It's, although some people say that it is half, European, half Kenyan or something like that.
Yeah.
But the 0.5s that we have dealt with, wameturingia upande wa pesa. Like they have, they're being difficult when it comes to money. So we looked at your picture, and you were wearing a yellow shirt that day. And we thought if we put makeup on you,
you will look
and
like
we
a
relax
0.5.
your hair, you might look like a 0.5. I laughed. And I said, how much is the deal? They gave me the amount of money. I had no money on me at that point.
That's why you decided.
I told them,
later.
Hata kama itabidi nikuwe mzungu. Even if it means I become white for a few days, it's fine. Yeah, so that's how I got into acting.
Acting, yeah.
Started my first acting gig, was a serious one. I mean, these guys were professional all the way through. Some of the best equipment, some of the best lights. It was an interesting experience, but as many things in the past, as I was doing it, I also knew
that was not for
that
you.
was not for me. The life of an actor is very difficult. The kind of you shoot for long hours. You need to bring out characters that you are not.
That you are.
You need to be spontaneous. Like now, I can be told laugh. Just now, laugh.
Laugh.
Yeah, just laugh. And it's
you
hard.
don't feel like
You don't feel like laughing or cry.
Yeah.
You don't feel like crying. So they'll bring things to put for you. Yeah. So I was not able to bring out the character the way many of my fellow actors could. So even as we were doing it in my head, I knew this one is seasonal. Yeah.
So after that,
after that, of course, now people knew I wanted to get into the media. I'd put the word out there that I'm interested. If you guys know of opportunities, let me know. There's a guy we used to go to church with, and he was interning at the station I work at now. And so he once heard of an audition for a kids show, and he called me. So I went for the audition. I went in a suit and a tie and everything. Me, I was a hustler, ready for anything. I can't refuse. Kazi ni kazi.
A suit for a kids show.
Yes, kazi ni kazi. So I did the audition, and the lady told me, I like what you do, but I'm not quite sure you fit the part. And I guess wearing a suit probably didn't fit the part.
Maybe it's the suit.
But she told me, well, let me take your number, and if anything else ever comes up, I'll call you. Truth be told, 2 months later, I get a call from another lady who tells me this other lady gave me your number. We're auditioning for a youth show.
No, it's youth.
Youth, nice, young people, and we think you should come in for an audition.
And this one you didn't go with a suit?
I went with a suit.
Again?
The same suit, but with a different shirt. I only had one suit. The same suit, but of course with a different shirt. I'll never forget, it was a grey suit with a red shirt and a red tie. I was very smart. So when I went for the audition, I was the only guy there with a suit. And I think that stood out for me. So,
that stood out for you?
Yeah, because the other guys came in t-shirts, and I guess they look like jokers.
Oh my,
so,
but it's a youth show.
They tried to look I think they saw that I was a serious guy. Sometimes employers want to deal with serious people. And so the next day, I get a call, and I'm told, come, you've been selected. And I could not believe it. After many months of sending CVs and going to media houses and knocking on doors
and trying a business,
and trying out a business and trying out many things that passed, finally an open door.
So you started with the youth show.
So I started with the youth show. It ran for 6 months, and I was on TV.
You and your 6 months. You've noticed many things after 6 months.
Hopefully not 9. And I was on TV now twice. Because now we had finished the acting show, and it was running on the same station.
Oh, now you're
on Thursdays at 7:30, but on Wednesdays, usiku, now the other show was running. So I became famous overnight. Going from 1 minute of not being known to now, like people would call me, Jana tumekuona kwa hii, leo tunakuona kwa hii ingine. So I mean, it was a really interesting time for me. So that's
how you started.
I got into media.
Okay, let's go to sports, what you do now, journalism. And I'd like to ask, do you love sports? How did that start?
How did that start? Do I love sports? Yes. Did I love sports when I was a kid?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
I was, okay, I'm trying to be honest here, so don't judge me. I was, I mean, I grew up in a family where, you know, a lot of people love sports because their uncle or their dad or someone used to watch it and, you know, participate in it a lot. I didn't come from that family, although my dad did have a bit of interest in it, but not too much, you know, for me to then, you know, get actively into it. So for me, it was actually an opportunity. That's why I'm saying, for me, I didn't discriminate. If I see an opportunity, I gauge, can I do it? And if I think I can, I try it. And if a few months later, I cannot make it, I give up. So when the opportunity came up, I actually remember after I'd finished now the acting show and I was done, and then now the youth show called Zinduka, I went home, you know, no work. And so one day I come to the office to clear, and I bump into a lady called Kobe Kihara. I always give her credit. And she tells me that we're actually looking for a sports presenter for our morning show, the Power Breakfast Show, which had the likes of Jimmy Gathu, Mutegi Njau, and of course, not forgetting Johnson Mwakazi. So she tells me, can you come for the audition? And I told her, I'm not very comfortable in sports. But she said, don't worry about it. We'll even help you. We'll attach you to the sports desk. You learn on the job. So I said, okay, if you have that much faith in me, let me come and give it a shot. I came and did the audition, and I got it.
Wow.
But now it was a steep learning curve.
So hold that thought.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a short break, and then we'll be right back to hear more from Wahiga. Yes, and we're right back with Mr. Wahiga Mwaura, and he was telling me how he got to be a sports anchor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mwaura, yeah?
Don't call me Mr. Actually, you make me sound so old.
You want me to call you what, Mwaura or?
Ata Higgs.
Ata Higgs.
Higgs is my
Mr.
nickname.
Higgs.
Yeah.
So tupeleke mbio hapo
Good.
kwa sports.
So I got into sports knowing that sports was my platform to political reporting or business reporting, which I thought were serious things because I'm a serious guy who talks, you know, I don't know, I just thought that was more of my character. But as I began to, you know, be a part of sports journalism, as I got, you know, linked to the sports desk, I began to find myself enjoying what I'm doing.
Sports,
you see, the beauty of sports is we rarely do press conferences. We rarely do seminars which last the whole day where people yawn and sleep. I mean, sometimes I feel sorry for our business journalists. I see at a 3-day seminar to discuss tax reforms. Oh my goodness. Or the base rate at the central bank.
Yeah.
So, you know, sports is dynamic. We go to the field, you know, superstars are coming into town. We are going to cover football matches, rugby,
and then
basketball.
there are many fans also.
Then there are many fans. And the interesting aspect of it. So after a while I started noticing, I'm actually enjoying this thing. That was 6 years ago.
Wow.
I've been doing this now for about 5.5, almost headed to 6 years. What I love about what I do is the dynamics, dynamity, if there's a word like that. It's always changing. Every day
it's dynamic.
It's dynamic.
Dynamic, yes.
As I massacre the English language, always changing. I enjoy the fact that we get to interact with a lot of people. The sports viewer is very radical about what they do.
Yeah.
So everywhere I go, people are always stopping me to ask me which team I support, why I said this, why they think I support this other team and that sort of thing. I also enjoy the travels. I've toured a lot of Kenya because of sports. I've gone to places I never thought I'd go to because of sports. And even internationally, I mean, I thank God I've gone to the World Cup. I've gone to watch, you know, rugby in Las Vegas. I'm going to Rwanda, you know, because of work as well. So yeah.
You're really enjoying yourself.
Yeah. What I don't like about sports though, sometimes we are considered third-rate citizens. Bulletin yetu inakuanga kule mwisho. So it depends
when guys are tired, they'll just ignore it.
And then I hate being asked, is it only sports you do? You know, people think that sports, ati unakam, unasoma news na unaenda home.
No, unaenda,
They don't see the work that happens behind it. So a lot of times people ask me, what else do you do? And I feel like I do sports.
I do sports,
yeah. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time career. You know, what I'm wearing today, you know, if I'm driving, it's all because of sports.
Yeah, it's all because of sports.
That's a serious career. Serious career. Yeah.
Yes. And tell me about the awards, because I'm sure you've won a few awards.
Okay. Well, so far I've won 2 awards and been nominated for one. In 2013, I won the CNN Sports Award 2013 for Africa.
Wow.
It was a story on Maasai cricket warriors. If I have time, I can tell you about that. Early 2015, I was nominated for a Media Council Award.
Wow.
But I did not win.
There's no problem. Nomination
It was so
is
bad
fine
because I took my parents there.
Oh,
And
there's
so
no problem.
in fact, I
so
almost
proud.
said, I wish I had not called them. I felt like I wasted their time.
No.
Took a kamabos, they had dinner, and then when the name went to be called, when they were announcing my category, I remember everyone at the table looked at me.
Yeah, zile za
Like,
tunajua ni wewe.
Another name was called. I said, you know what, God, thank you for teaching me disappointment.
Humility,
And defeat and humility as well. Because
Yes.
I didn't even stay till the end. Let me tell you, I waited for 10 minutes. As soon as no one was looking at me, out. I said, but I got a cup.
But you were nominated. That's
I was nominated,
good.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm grateful, and I got a cup, which is actually
Yeah.
very nice. And a certificate as well.
Yeah.
But a few weeks later, we went for a new award called the Mohammed Amin Awards, Mo Amin Africa Awards, and we won in that category as well. So
you see your day was coming.
So I was like, cool. But that other award, next year,
You must get it.
And I even know what I'll say in my speech.
Eh.
Last year I sat
there.
Na mukani embarrass.
Hopefully tutakumeleta wazazi this time.
Ziwaiti, nitawapigia simu after. Niwaambie ndio hii kitu.
Ndio hii kitu.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm grateful that when I first won the 2013 award, I began to think that winning awards is my right. And then I applied for a few others and I never got called back. And it occurred to me that you can't plan these things.
Yeah.
It's a gift from God.
Yeah, it's favor.
So do not take them for granted, at all. At all, yeah.
And don't bring parents like when you're not sure.
No, they were very gracious.
Yeah, I can
imagine.
imagine.
Feel aibu.
Yeah. So, and what are some of the challenges you face as a journalist in Kenya? So, such a stories are sports, just being a journalist. I'm sure there's so many things that you go through.
I mean, some of the challenges that we face is because we're on TV, people have perceptions about us, how we act, how we should behave, how we talk, how much we earn. Yes, I mean, I remember like a month ago, a team from Siaya, their team manager called me to ask me to be their sponsor. Maze, I was like, are you kidding me? Tunakutaka kuwa sponsor wetu na Patron. So I'm like, so does that mean you want me to pay your salaries? So that means if you pay every player like 20K and they're like 30, mimi sasa ndio na deal na mshahara, wakiwa na matches mimi ndio na fuel bus, na wanunulia I'm just a simple journalist. So people have this image of you. I think there's also the pressure to live to a particular standard.
Yeah, true.
When I first moved to where I live now, I used to eat in the vibandas behind my place. And that time I was new in the media and I had no aibu. I used to, a full meal was 30 bob.
Yeah.
Hey, now I can't go.
Yeah, people will be like, I'm sure they'll even take your photo.
I can't go there. I was very comfortable in a matatu. Then the other day, my car went to be serviced. So I was like, I'm not going to use a taxi. Naonanga watu wangu wakitumianga taxi, natumia matatu. Lakini ilikuwa aibu pia. Unajua watu tu walikuwa wananiangalia, and then there was actually a friend of a family friend in the matatu, and she couldn't talk to me because she didn't think it was me in the mat. She was sitting behind me.
Yeah,
so
she's looking like mnafanana.
Anajaribu kuchungulia and she can't. So finally when I was alighting, akanitap kwa shoulder. Nikasema, yani, you've been here all this time. Then she's like, I didn't think it was you. So it also has its challenges in regards to that. I think the other major challenges are being ethical. Yeah. Always telling the truth. Turning down brown envelopes because it puts you in a tight situation. Yeah. That's one of the challenges of media in this day and age. So it's corruption. Yeah. Getting the right story. I think one of the other challenges of journalism is not having your emotions in a story. Yeah. I'll give you a classic example. The biggest story right now in sports is doping. Huge. Across the world. And Kenya is on the spotlight. And one of the biggest challenges sports journalists are facing is these athletes are my friends. So this athlete, you have now become friends. When they have a baby, you go visit them, that sort of thing. Then this whole doping thing comes up. And this athlete is implicated. Now, how do you reconcile? Do you do this story? Do you run away? Do you kill the story? Yeah. And that's one of the challenges. And then we love Kenya. We want to say good things about Kenya. But this doping
thing, there are negative things about Kenya. So those are a lot of the big challenges. Also balance of time. I'm in school. I'm attempting to have a social life, and I'm at work. Yeah. I have family and a relationship as well. So all that now, finding time for all that can be challenging. So you told me to call you Higgs.
Yeah, you can call me Higgs. Yeah.
Okay, so Higgs, I'd like to ask you a final question.
Okay.
They usually say that the media portrays the world to be a very frightening place than it actually is. Do you believe that is true?
Wow, that's one question I wouldn't...
In short, bad news sells.
It's interesting you say that. Recently, our boss at work has been complaining that she doesn't like the way our bulletins are. Recently, when we hosted President Barack Obama, a lot of people wanted to, point out the negative things about Kenya. There was the hashtag Kidero grass, all those things, and all those things. But I remember her saying that, listen, Obama doesn't go to every country.
Yeah.
This is something positive. The Pope is coming soon. King Mswati was supposed to come. I don't know whether he came.
Yeah.
Our president was recently featured very well in Uganda. So there are a lot of positive things that we can talk about in our country. So bad news does sell, but there are media houses, including WTV, that are becoming very deliberate about selling good news. I also think there are a lot of good things that are not said. For example, yesterday I noticed drivers allowing pedestrians to cross at zebra crossings before they drive over, and I thought that's actually something positive.
Something
so there
nice.
are good things about Kenyans. Kenyans smile. Kenyans are generally quite friendly. Kenyans are optimistic and hardworking. Fact, if you ever drive around Nairobi at 4:30 a.m., you'll see people going to work.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a hardworking culture. So if only we could sort out these other things, I think we'd be much better off. But that being said, when you talk to other East Africans, the way they view Kenya, we are a force to reckon with. We just don't know it.
We just don't know it. And I'm very proud to be seated next to my Kenyan here.
Yes.
And I'm very thankful that this Kenyan came here for the interview.
Najivunia
from Kenya. Yes, thank you, Higgs, for coming to the show.
Thank you so much, Redemptor, for having me as well. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining me. This has been Beyond the Screen, and I've had my guest here whose new name is Higgs. Nimeshatengeneza ubeshte. This is the nice thing about being in WTV. So be sure to join me next week, same time, same place, same station, as I bring you more of our Kenyan celebrities. Stay tuned.